remember that show? Was it Romper Room, where she holds up the mirror and says, "I see Cliff, I see Brian, I see Maxwell." You remember that?
I do. I think it was Romper Room.
Yeah, Romper Room.
Does that make us geeks?
That makes
Or
us
just old?
old.
Damn it!
All right. I'm checking out the chat in YouTube here, and we have a nice group. So let's see our faces. What's up, everybody?
Hey.
Hey. I forgot to play some animations and do a little dance. I want to play a new one that our friend Aaron from the WSTR Galactic Public Access created,
Nice.
and it's really cool. So we'll be right back after this little intro, just to remind the folks who we are and where we come from. We got your six. Here we go.
This podcast is part of the Red 5 Network. For more Red 5 Network podcasts, visit red5network.com.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
That is right. Big thanks and big props to Aaron over at WSTR Galactic Public Access for creating that little intro. I'm going to do some tweaks,
That was very nice.
but it will be available to all of our Red 5 Network brothers and sisters for them to use on their streams. Really great. There's a lot of logos in there, huh, Bravo?
There is. We are growing fast.
We are growing fast and we're having fun. Look at all the wonderful people in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us tonight on a very special Scarif Live on YouTube. You know, they're all special. I keep saying welcome to a special this and a special that. I just want to make sure that everyone knows how much fun we have with these Saturday night lives. And I said it, I think I said it on one of my accounts, not even John Travolta has this much on a Saturday night. Isn't that right?
Oh man, that's right. That is correct. It's always hopping on Saturday nights. It's always hopping on Thursdays too, regardless of what
Yeah.
you're looking
Oh
for.
my God. Thursday was so hilarious. You guys were playing your game.
Wow.
I'm still
It-
I'm still downloading the game. Just kidding, no. I'll join you guys soon. Sometimes I never know because sometimes I work evenings, and that might be difficult for me. But look at all these wonderful people in the chat. Holy
Dead
moly.
sexy. Look at that. Look at Lunar Girl just wrenching him down. Blue wrenching everybody.
All right, I got a message from Charles. My volume is a little low compared to Bravo, and I made some adjustments, so hopefully that should be good. We got Comics and Cosmetics. Danny, thank you very much for joining us. Tina, Lunar Girl, Blue Wrench Girl, as we like to call her. I saw Nicholas Schaefer, Backyard TARDIS, earlier. Here we are, Nick. Hope you guys checked out the this week's episode. Nick and I were talking about Battlestar Galactica, another one of my, geek loves. Another one of my franchises. I really into the classic 1978 Battlestar Galactica, and a lot of fun talking with my boy Nick. We're gonna be doing a part 2 because there's so much to talk about when it comes to Battlestar Galactica.
Oh heck
And,
yeah.
I think we might have an announcement too during that. Let's see. We're getting some technical messages here. I'm still low, and Bravo's bass is strong. Well, it's because Bravo's a manly man.
I'll turn that.
so-
I'll turn it down. No, I'm just kidding. I tweak mine. Mine's not going through a mixer. So if I gotta turn mine down,
Yeah. I think I'm. How am I doing now? How am I doing? How am I doing? Oh, you know what? All right. I think I know. Hold on a second. I might actually not be using the this mic here. Yeah, no wonder. Test. Nope. Hold on.
When you tapped it, I heard it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But it's still a little low, I wonder. Check, 1 2 1 2. We are doing it live. Welcome to another edition of Scarif Live here on Saturday night. Charles, what do you think? Anyway. Yes, Nicole is in the house. Thank you, Nicole, for that wonderful, wonderful hashtag Red5Family. We are here doing it live.
Did you notice comic and cosmetics? Shanti's always louder than Hero.
That's true. That's true. And deservedly so. Wonderful voice in that Shanti. Shanti has the night off. She's enjoying her time at a fair of some sort. She'll be posting some pictures of food, which I think it's nice. Very nice. All right.
Fried food.
Fried food is always good. You know, I miss... I used to have a friend, Native American. We used to go to these powwows and festivals and things like that, and I loved the fry bread, which was delightful. Delightful.
Everything fried is delightful.
That's right.
I think that's a rule.
I had fried ice cream once at a Pepe's Mexican restaurant, which I was not familiar with, and I didn't know what to think of it. I think my mind was racing. Yeah, my mind was racing into the technical, thinking, "How the hell did they fry ice cream?" It's
I don't.
It was a weird thing.
I don't get it, but they will fry everything and anything.
Yeah,
Most
absolutely.
definitely.
Yeah. Megan is here. Thank you, Megan, for coming by. We're gonna talk. I gotta get a hold of Andrew, because I think we'll have a little surprise tomorrow. There's so much to do here at the Red 5 Network, and this is a wonderful night. We've got us. Obviously, we're going to be talking about a topic that is interesting, something that we came up with or kind of discovered online on Twitter, in the Twitterverse. We're going to check that out. General Shinobi showed up. What is up? She's roasting some corn and putting some butter on it. Very nice. Have fun, General Shinobi. And we want to see pictures of your food later on tonight. Absolutely. Rancor tater tots. Yeah, we got to open up a little Red 5 restaurant maybe one day. And headline those tater tots, baby. Excellent. So what do we got in the hopper? But before that, 97 Bravo, thank you very much for joining me on this topic. I presented it a couple days ago, and you're like, me, I want to talk. Thank you for joining me. How you doing, man?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad at all. Just I dig the topic, and that's why I want to jump on it, because I think that it's on everybody's mind. No one may be talking about it, but I think that when I saw it, it hit several chords. There were several notes along the way that It was like, that's happening. Yep, that's happening. And so it was nice to hear that put to words.
Interesting. So we'll tell everybody what we're talking about. You know, I'm in another chat, and some of our friends in that other chat posted a video from Film Threat talking about the nerd culture and how they feel that it's dead. And I know, our buddy Sean, who also thinks nerd culture is dead. We're talking about nerd culture that used to be back in the day, more or less a niche. How do you say that? Niche?
Niche.
I'm not French. Niche. A niche aspect of the fandom. And we did a nerd episode with you back in I don't know how long it was. It was episode 78. We
Hmm.
talked about nerds and are we winning? And I think this might be kind of like a part two because if we're winning, is there is it a double-edged sword? This victory has nerdiness, has the geek culture become too trendy for its own good? So that's the topic. And what? I know you watched the video, right, from Film Threat. I
Oh
had
yeah.
put the video up in their chat, and let's get some opinions on there. And then obviously, you guys in the chat, you are more than welcome to chime in as well. We'll put up some of your comments on screen. But first of all, what did you think of the video?
Well, I think there were some interesting points that were made. I think that where they were coming from was a definitive. I think they were declaring it,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't see it that way. I think that several good points were made, like I said before, and it really shines a light on what's going on within the community. And there I think there's reasons why it feels the way he suggested it felt. And is it dead? No. And is it dying? No. I think it's morphing. Um, the point is that because of the interference, instead of just letting it grow organically like it had been doing in the 80s and 90s, and then boom, it sort of blew up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it the corporations wedged too much stuff in. And so at first, maybe it wasn't quite noticeable. Oh, cool, we have a bigger venue because Pepsi this or whatever it was. I don't know exactly specifics, but I'm just saying that oh, cool, look, we got bigger. And then the corporate starts, okay, now we're placing things here, and every third stall is going to be one of these things. And then, and he makes some good points about how at one point it was very, you're hanging out and comic book conventions were selling comic books, and now it's everything is there. And
Mm-hmm.
because everybody has a con, or there are groups of IPs that pivot towards certain cons. It Star Wars having its own, it it can be a huge blessing to have more money, to be able to do more things, and to be able to express yourself however you want to say that.
Sure.
But with that comes, I think, a heavier burden, because then you have more fingers in the pie.
Right.
And I think with more fingers in the pie comes the dilution of what once was. And
And by what once was, are you talking about how nerd culture was perceived back in the day? Like our episode 78, we talked about how, you know, there's a lot of us that were closet nerds. We liked what we liked, but
mhm,
we did it privately. There was this thing about living in your mom's basement. But we did talk about, we left mom's basement and we're now in the living room. We're now in the dining room. Everybody sees us.
right.
And for some people that's a good thing because it it is more acceptance of this little geek culture that we're part of. It's more acceptance of who we are specifically. A lot of us, hid the fact that we loved all this geeky stuff. It wasn't cool. Now it's cool. Now it's coveted. Now we are the demographic of choice where, obviously now, older, we've got more disposable income, as they say. So, like you were saying, the companies kind of gravitate towards that and say, hey, let's try and sell 97 Bravo, the next Funko Pop.
Well,
Because, so,
we are we're those same people. We just have the money now. So
right.
instead of everybody gearing towards the next generation Z and priming them for certain brands as they get, into their 30s or whatever, Same thing was happening to us in the 80s and 90s. We were being primed for certain brands already, and one brand was better than the other, and those kinds of things. But it being a kid back in the day and not having the ability to buy anything that we wanted at the time, the the fire was there. But now when you fast forward, now you have, instead of, I swear they were like $3 or $4 for like a GI Joe or Star Wars. It was something like that, wasn't it? Like $3 or $4.
Sure.
And now they're selling the same kids who are now in their 40s. They're selling them toys that are close to $30 now.
Right.
And so that, is it dead? No, it's changed because we've changed. We were the demographic, but we've gotten older and we now have more money. So the things they're selling us have just changed. We want to feel like we're 13 or 5 or whatever it was all over again. And there are several points that the two gentlemen, Alan and Chris, make in the video that it hits it on the head. They're not creating something. It's a lot of what's going on now is corporation driven. They're writers that are hired to write what the corporation wants them to write, instead of a George Lucas in his garage coming up with a script and going, hey, look, let's make this. And someone goes, cool. That's what we're missing. There was a generation of guys, or not just guys, but a whole generation of filmmakers that came out of SC that were all together or all in the film scene at the same time, whatever have you, regardless of where they went. But a lot of them went to SC. And they have these stories of kind of how they had these creative sort of blooms, and everybody was at a different point, all the friends and stuff as they were coming out, your Coppolas and your Lucases and those kinds of things. But that boom, there hasn't been a boom like that. We might get a director or a writer or something like that comes along every so often. But as far as creating a new universe that spans multiple movies, multiple properties, those kinds of things, in the 2000s, I mean, it's the Marvels, it's the big ones, it's Marvel, it's Disney. But what new is that? I mean, they just came out with the Halo TV show, first episode drop. So even that is taking a property from 20 years ago that came out 20 years ago and finally coming out with a TV show for it. So the we're changing as people, so we're getting older and our tastes are changing, but the world is also changing too. So now it's like, well, how do we package it for the people who have the money, but how do we also bring in the kids so that we ensure that there's years of
right.
Yeah, exactly. So
you're saying it's a business. Oh, that's a wild concept. But for sure, so I mentioned our buddy Sean Crummell, who was an artist, and I talked to him a lot about this, and here is his sticker, just so you know.
ooh, very nice.
But anyways, we talk about this culture being expanded out into the general market. And he has a very interesting take. He remembers when it was just cool to be this little group of nerds that liked a certain thing, and now, like I said earlier, it's just everywhere. It's you go to Target and there's like aisles of collectibles, and the companies are really putting their money where their mouth is when it comes to collectibles. But like you said, you've got a lot more collectibles that are more expensive. You've got these carbonized Black Series, that are now, $25-$30 from time to time. So again, is that a good thing, or are people missing the point as far as being a geek? Are we winning, as our episode was saying? But is that a good thing, or do we want to go back to let's just make it a little bit more cozy? Because now we're getting all sorts of fans that have never been nerds, who are, I think sometimes people feel that we are being taken advantage of? Case in point, when the argument exists that Disney, now that Disney owns Star Wars, will slap a Star Wars sticker on it, put it out there because people will consume it no matter what. What do you think of that argument?
I think that in order for it to get bigger, it has to grow. And I think that we may unfortunately be in a time frame we're starting to see with Star Wars in particular, we're starting to see it kind of come out of its shell. So there you've got all of this train that was moving forward, then all of a sudden the Mandalorian kind of whoop, takes it off to the side, and so it's kind of bringing different fans and creating new fans and those kinds of things, or bringing fans in who were upset because of what they thought was going on with the Skywalker saga, and now they're like, oh wait a minute, this is actually pretty decent, or whatever it was. I think that there's enough for everybody, and I think it's unfortunate because it has become a business where Paramount has to put out X amount of movies a year, or Fox does, or Disney's going to put out X amount of whatever's a year. And so there's this, come on guys, let's go. And to write to that is kind of what I was talking about. It takes the soul out of all of it. Now, is geek culture dead? I would say no, because I'm still, what I've done is I've just shifted my focus. It in certain aspects, and it's a shame that I have to say this, but I think everybody knows my point of view, the in the chat anyways, that it appears as though they're not trying. It appears that they're just pushing stuff out, and it's not connecting. It feels soulless because they're not writing for creative output. They're saying, let's write a Star Wars movie, or let's write a this whatever, a Halo TV show. And taking into account the Halo TV show, there's an interview, I think it's in Variety, where they say that no, we weren't into the games. The writers, the creators of the show, the people who envision moving forward. Now that, of course, doesn't mean anything, and the company that was involved in that creates the game now, 343 Industries, they were involved in producing it. Now, to what level, who knows, and all of that kind of thing. But the show itself it plays like a what if, and so it's not the Halo story that we know. So it's not a retelling of Star Wars. It's not a retelling of Wolverine with a new actor. It's something completely different. And so you run that risk with your Star Treks. Star Trek was pointed out in the video several times for being the biggest offender. And I gotta say, I think I may have gotten to the end of season 1 of Discovery, but there was no season 2. And
Yeah, I didn't finish season 2.
yeah, I didn't even go with Picard. I mean, there was that much disinterest, but I think where geek culture is not dead is because I've pivoted. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to like what I liked. So let's go back and watch Fringe. Let's go back and watch X-Files. Let's go back and watch these things that I liked. And for me, those people got it right. And so I'm going to go backwards, and I'm going to regress and sort of plant my flag and say, whatever it is, Battlestar Galactica, the old one was better than the new one, or those kinds of things, or the new one's better than, taking into account what I like instead of just simply what's out there. Because you asked, I think either your personal account or Scarif, you asked today, maybe it was yesterday, but it was, do you feel, oh, I totally blanked. Sorry.
Well, you know what?
I
While
totally
you're
had
thinking,
it. And
I want to put up a quote that Megan posted a couple of posts ago. So it's not that geek culture is over so much as it's become more accepted, which I agree. Playful fantasy is easier to escape to than reality TV, such as the Kardashians. But do you feel that, it's not a simple answer, obviously, and it's not a simple response as far as this question goes. But, there is that opportunity for people who maybe want to explore a little bit more of escapism and get out of the reality TV aspect, and then join us nerds here in the basement to really, figure out like what's going on. And maybe there's also this question of, wow, look at them. They seem to be having fun. Let's go see what they're playing. And then, those kids that are usually over there and are now here like it here in this space. How much of that do you think contributes to the growth of geek culture? I mean, genuine interest, not corporate interest where they're looking at us like dollar signs versus, oh, they're having fun, let's check it out.
Or like the example they give in the video where Paris Hilton shows up at San Diego Comic-Con. They're like, well, what the hell are you doing here?
Exactly.
Oh, it's the thing to do. I think like with anything else, just don't give it oxygen. I mean, it's not something we desire. I don't go to Star Wars Celebration to see Paris Hilton or whomever. I'm there for specifics. I'm there for certain things. Everything else is just a distraction. And I don't mind if Microsoft is there hawking stuff. I don't mind if there are things there to sell. I'm all for that. Make your dollar, whatever. But don't do it at the expense of the creativity of the brand. Don't just put inferior product out there simply, like you were saying before, because if we put a name on it, it's going to sell. Well, Star Trek is having an issue with that right now. The fans are divided, and I think we've talked before, and it might have even been in episode 78, that a lot of people that I've talked to, I voice to them that I say, look, I have a pivot point. There's the stuff that was, and there's the stuff that is, and the stuff that is not like the stuff that was, and the Disney Star Wars is not like George Lucas's Star Wars, and so
for better or for worse. And I know people kind of scold me personally for making the differentiation.
Well, I think there's a fan that wants that smoothness, that wants that, and I can dig that. And I think at one point I was probably, I could tell you, I was one of them at one point. I think now, though, I think primarily with the two, I view them as two different aspects of the same thought, and I can appreciate them differently now. So like when The Mandalorian came out, it was at a point where I was sort of transitioning, and I wasn't looking forward to The Rise of Skywalker, and I didn't like The Last Jedi. So what is this Mandalorian going to do for me as far as Star Wars? Right. And then when it hit, and I was like, oh, okay, wait, hold up, what's this? It was almost out of fashion to like it. Sure. And I didn't care for the conversations that were going on with people I was just having last week. And then all of a sudden now the show comes out and oh, we're supposed to still be hating it. Actually, I thought this particular thing was actually kind of cool. Did you see how they... And when no one wanted to talk about it, it was like there's this dichotomy. All hate, all love, and then somewhere in here is most everybody else. And so I stopped, much like some people, just stop talking to certain elements, and you gravitate towards, hey, who's talking about the show? Who's doing this? Who's doing that? And that's exactly where the genuineness comes from, or lack thereof, is because there's so many voices out there. It's relatively easy if you listen for a little bit to discern who's being sort of forthright and who's just a machine, who's part of a machine that's just kind of churning out the same sort of opinion or a variation of the same opinion through multiple channels. So we're at a point where there was a lot of interest in rumors and what was going to happen and this kind of thing. But now the movies have sort of slowed down, and there's absolutely no movies to talk about. We're only talking about the TV shows. And although there are things that leak out, we knew heartbeat for heartbeat what was going to happen in all three of the sequel trilogy movies before the movies came out, and we're having a harder time gathering information on the TV shows. So kudos to them for that. But they are playing to a different crowd. Jon Favreau knows that. And I think I think Kevin Feige had the golden goose, and something happened. So I don't know exactly what's going on with MCU, because there has been a tonal shift that I think the fans have felt. At least Star Wars told you it was coming. MCU just took a left turn somewhere and was like, well, I guess we're going this way. Fans don't like that. They want to feel as though they're a part of the fandom. And when the corporations got involved, I'll give you one example. One quote that I wrote down was from Alan, and Alan from Film Threat, and he says his take on this whole thing was corporations bought nerd culture and made Twitter its gatekeeper.
Mm.
Now that was one of those moments in the video where I was like, okay, wait, hold on. So I sat back and paused it and was like, wait, hold, and except for Facebook, which I don't use, I can't think of another platform that pushes this stuff.
Right.
Right. So when they said that, it sort of broke open and I had to go back and start their whole conversation all over again, which I did, to get all the nuances of what Chris was saying. Then when Alan comes up with that, I'm like, okay, I mean, Chris had another one when he was talking about Tolkien and stuff, but that's what it is. It's we can recognize it. We feel that there's been a change. We feel that there's a disturbance. And we keep going along because we want to be a part of Star Wars Celebration. We want to hang out in California and we want to, do the whole Star Wars thing. And there's a R2D2 coming down the hallway and, cosplay over here and all the different panels and stuff. Everyone wants to do that at least once.
Sure.
But the products that they are putting out there for us to be excited about, I think that the people who used to be excited are now excited in different ways. And it's just changing. I don't, it's not dead. It's just that, I don't know.
Yeah, and everyone in the chat, whoever's watching, if you, I put up the YouTube link to the video that we are referencing, or you can just go over to YouTube and search "Is Nerd Culture Over?" featuring Chris Gore at Film Threat, and find it there. It's a short video; you guys can watch it. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting, and I also think that the mere fact that corporations kind of got involved, I think for me personally is kind of a good thing, because now we've got more product, and at least, I know when it comes to Disney, the sequel trilogy and I have a very strained relationship. Although, there's some stuff on the small screen that I'm very much looking forward to, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Andor. We all know what we particularly thought of the Book of Boba Fett, but the Mandalorian was fantastic. So there are new things that people get excited over, and to me, it's interesting to kind of find the nuance and the balance of continuing to be in this community and to love what you love, because it doesn't matter what the future holds, because they can't change the past. And I know there are a lot of people that are really hung up on the fact that, okay, Disney is doing whatever it is that they think they're doing in their head to change something, but the original trilogy still exists. It's still there. You can go back, you can watch it, you can relish in it, it could be your favorite, which for me it is. And in about half an hour we'll be talking with Dork Wars about the original trilogy. But yes, it's fascinating, because you get to a point where you like all this stuff, and then all of a sudden a new voice comes into play. And like you said, Twitter, social media, YouTube, you've got folks that are talking their heads off about this one particular IP. And does it change your opinion of said IP? Sometimes it does. But we have to remind ourselves that we've got our own brains, and what that person is saying is not necessarily affecting my love for what the past, had. In
Right.
this, in this case, obviously, we're talking about Star Wars, the original trilogy. But it's fascinating to me to kind of think that because a corporation kind of got involved, that changes the aspect, it changes the nature of geekdom. I think back in the day, the traditional geek, I think, was kind of like an independent film that had its own audience, that really was kind of a smaller audience. And then when corporations got involved, obviously they threw more money into it, and it became something, more expensive, I guess, if you want to call it that way, and it reached a wider audience.
Hmm.
Um, it doesn't discount the fact that you might still love some of that old stuff because, like I said, it's still there.
Right.
Um, but it's interesting to me to hear different points of view regarding the question, is nerd culture over? Um, I don't know if it's over. I think it's evolving, just like anything evolves through the growth and development of new things within those properties. So it's, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. It's really, like I said, it's not a simple question to answer. Is nerd culture over? I don't think it's over. I think it's just evolving, changing, and maybe at some point it's also trying to figure out what new nerd culture is based on everything that has been set up through, I guess, these corporations kind of taking over. And I'm not naive enough to say that corporations were never behind nerd culture,
Oh,
because they
right.
were. I
Right.
mean,
Right.
Lucasfilm,
Hmm.
et cetera, et cetera. The monstrosity that Lucasfilm had behind their marketing. Take a look at our backgrounds.
Oh yeah.
So it's
Yeah, there's no hiding it.
exactly. So it's kind of interesting. Like I said, it's not an easy question to answer. But there's been some really good comments in the
I
chat
think
here too.
uh, well, I think what's interesting is that as we grew up and we sort of the aspects of what defined us as kids, someone puts the label of nerd or calls you a nerd or geek or whatever the terminology is, we just it's outsider is primarily what it is. But as we get older and we sort of realize that everything about high school or school itself was just whatever, and I've got kids, you've got kids, we're all just people now, that sort of changes how we overall view the world. And I think that as in certain industries, the what was the traditional nerd and geek, like we talked about in the last episode, was they're now in charge of certain techs and advancements and those kinds of things. They are the brain trust were people that we traditionally looked at with the pocket protectors and those kinds of things. They're
Mm-hmm.
designing things that are, they're getting paid all kinds of money to design all kinds of crazy stuff. And that kind of mentality wins, whereas the guy who put all his time and energy into the football squad, I mean, how many of those guys make it, and then middle management and those sorts of things, and we've heard those stories before. You know what I'm saying? Like that
Right.
bitterness of having been the sports star and now I'm, whatever, I'm ruined now. But it's the identity that people had, and I think that among the people I would traditionally, looking back, people who would fit into that quote unquote nerd mold that I grew up with, we didn't we didn't really view differences. And so when that was pushed on us, we were just like, okay, yeah, so we watched that show. Like if I got caught in line talking about Deep Space Nine or something, and so you watch that,
Mm,
yes, I do, and
right.
that kind of thing. It just sort of, but as we got older, it the way nerd culture is consumed is different. What we desire is different, but what they're also pushing, if they're keeping Star Wars, for example, at 10-year-old level, 13-year-old level now, or whatever, if they're gearing it towards that, well then it's not geared towards us. And does our opinion necessarily hold as much weight as it did perhaps when we were in our 20s and the prequels were coming out
Hmm.
for my age group. So
Sure.
that sort of thing. And do we have ownership of those? Well, our generation was at all three iterations. Most of us were at all three iterations of those films, and we hold them close to our hearts. So when a Disney comes in, to the point made in the video, it does feel soulless because it feels like there is a schism between what was and what is. And Star Trek most definitely is like that. So you're going to have different cultures that grow up around that. But as far as trying to appease, like for example with Star Trek, the corporation aspect of CBS, Paramount, whatever you want to look at, whoever is in charge of that, it 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 just even from my sort of pedantic Star Trek, knowledge, it or experience, right? It just didn't feel like it was supposed. It looked
Hmm.
enough like it, but it didn't feel right.
Sure.
And then they're cussing and all kinds of other stuff, and it was like, did we just forget episode,
Yeah.
chapter 4 or movie 4 or whatever it was, Voyage Home?
Yeah.
It was weird, and it does feel. I think the one thing they did pick up on is the soullessness of what's out there,
Hmm.
and I don't think that geek culture has died. I just think that the products that they're putting out for us are inferior to what they could be, and I think that's what we're sort of reacting to. I think
Sure.
the nerd culture still hungers for stuff because they announce season 2 of anything, baby, people go
Right.
nuts,
Sure.
and so it's one of those things that we crave it, but come on, man,
Yeah.
let's do something, spice it
Exactly.
up.
Somebody posted earlier, I think it was Megan, the fact that they, back in the day, they just didn't know what to do with us. I think we've come full circle because it seems like a lot of the IPs, a lot of the vintage IPs now as well, don't know how to handle these stories or don't know how to handle, these legacy characters. Obviously, we have the issue with Luke Skywalker and some people thinking that was the wrong way to handle that character. You've got Star Trek, where it has always been kind of a family friendly show, where now it's like you see Klingon titties and violence and all that stuff, which
Oh well, you have that
you
one
know
girl, she's like fuck, she
right.
says that, and you're like,
It's like
what
why
what are we
right.
because she can't. I felt so free. No, don't
Right.
do that.
Yeah. So it's like I said, I think we're coming full circle as far as you know they don't know what to do with the products that we grew up loving, and I want to come to a real a good discussion point here. Danny, Comics and Cosmetics says, I worry that nerd culture is becoming elitist, and again, this might apply to us coming full circle, where now you mentioned Twitter becoming the gatekeepers, and how many people on Twitter have you seen gatekeeping someone's opinion
Hmm.
about an IP? And I think that is also a dangerous situation to be associated with when it comes to geek culture. Um, I don't know.
There,
Not that we're all kumbaya, but I think for the most part, back in the day, maybe we were a little more kumbaya. Come on in, check it out. Let's see we're all having fun. But now we're fighting about that thing that brought us together in the first place. It's us
well,
versus them.
there's a dichotomy to what we're doing versus what most people do around a water cooler. So I think us as fans versus them as fans is a little different because we're also vying for eyeballs. We're also
Right.
vying for clicks and those kinds of things. And so there is, unfortunately, I've watched as that's occur. As a star has been rising, I've watched that pullback, that disconnect, and then the kind of change in focus. And it is what happens for people who are doing what we're doing. We're enjoying sitting around talking to each other, and we enjoy our friends are hanging out in chat, and we're doing this thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's how a lot of people started. And then all of a sudden, for absolutely apparently no reason or whatever have you, everything just takes off. And then there's an expectation, for example, for you guys or me or whatever have you, that, and the ones that have done well, I think the ones I've kind of, there was a time I sort of gravitated away from accounts, and now I've sort of gravitated back, are the ones that um, are the ones that have been consistent, and the ones that are right, wrong, or indifferent. Man, I may have disagreed with them, but damn it, they planted that flag and they said, "Hey, this is the way it is," and they didn't give a crap what anybody thought. And that's kind of whom I've gravitated more towards and then back to, because like I said, I'd gotten away from some of those voices. Star Wars Theory is one of them. He just goes, man. He just does his thing, and he doesn't really. There isn't any need for him to interface with much of anything. He's just producing.
Right.
We joke around Mike Theory, same thing, but that's, or Mike Zero rather.
Right.
It's they just do your thing, and the voices. I think going back to what we were talking about before and how I kind of veered was the fact that I think they didn't know how to handle what happened. I think that a lot of the shit that they thought they were going to get, if they were going to get any, was going to come in the form of forums or something like that, or it'd be this little bit of a ripple, no big deal kind of thing. I don't think at all that with how I watched and I remember everybody going into The Last Jedi, I don't think Lucasfilm or the industry as a whole was prepared for what came out of that. There's an entire entertainment industry that has come out of that one damn movie. I mean, there was voices, there was discontent, there were people that were doing things, don't get me wrong. But the amount of channels, the amount of entertainers and creators that one movie took to just get that discontent and that displeasure out there, that we watched it in real time. And there hasn't been, I mean, you can say Ghostbusters 2016, but no, it was, people were talking about it, don't get me wrong, but no, the nuclear explosion went off with The Last Jedi, because I remember the same voices. I was there with them. Yay! Yes, yeah. And then all of a sudden this treatment drops of the different heartbeats in the movie, and I'm like, he does what now with the lightsaber? And I'm like, oh shit. And then I'm watching the movie and it's just happening in front of me, and I'm like, oh no. It was that. And I don't think that the entertainment industry was prepared for the volume and the loudness of the squawking that came back. And these are geeks now.
Sure.
Now, yes, the culture has changed, but the nerds, the geeks, the fans, everybody was just like, I got my Twitter, I got my Instagram, I got my this, I got my that, and they were just nope. And it wasn't that they had more it wasn't that there were more people that were disliking it. It was just that it appeared louder because Twitter's so small in comparison to Facebook. And so it just seems louder than it actually is. But we know, having heard the stories, that stars and producers, everybody's human, everybody's on Twitter, everybody's searching their own stuff and whatever have you, and they see all this stuff. And I think that Lucasfilm had an idea, and when it didn't work out, they didn't know how to react to the backlash. And I think that what Chris is commenting on is post The Last Jedi. I think that's what they're focusing in on this last 5 years or whatever, and it is in that time, 4.5, in that time frame, that the the tone of fandom, geekdom, whatever you want to call it, has changed. And again, and now everyone wants to report on it, and I hate Star Wars more than you hate Star Wars, and I hate this more than you. And they announce something. Hey, someone had an idea about a movie. Boo!
Right,
and there's like 10
Thumbs
people who are
down,
just
right.
It's gonna suck. Oh my god!
Movie's not
They
even
announced-
out yet.
They announced
the
an
movie
idea.
hasn't even started shooting yet.
Right. We hired a guy to write a Star Wars movie. Oh, it's gonna
It's
suck.
gonna suck.
It's like
And he's
18
probably
months
a-
away.
He's probably a white guy.
Right. Damn him. No, yeah,
Oh, man.
it is that.
Yeah.
It is that. And how can he be right? How can she be playing that part? And this is how it hasn't ruined geekdom. It's ruined the shit that they're trying to produce right now. We're not digging. So that may be the vibe that's in the room is everyone's like a collective. Mm-mm.
Right.
But or just not just remember the toy stores back in the 70s, and yes, that's a product of the time. But you'd walk down the aisle, dude, it was Star
Right. Phil. Yep.
Wars. And you
Yep.
were like,
Right.
and they were deep. They were deep
Yeah.
on the pegs, man. And
And
just,
not just rows of Lando Calrissians. This was like
oh shit.
everybody.
Have you seen,
Yeah.
dude, that poor bastard. Lando's been hanging out in my Walmart for entirely too long. I want to buy that damn thing. Oh, man. But yeah, that's the thing is that it's a different culture. It's a different, but geekdom. I don't to say geekdom is dying or geek culture is dying. I'd say no. I think it's morphing. I think we're just displeased, and because we're older and we got all the toys and stuff, my kids have become where they were kind of into Star Wars and the Lego stuff, the Lego cartoons and whatever, the games. They gravitated away from the movies. And I don't know if that's a product of me because I never pushed anything and hey, that was good, wasn't it? You know, that kind of thing. Because when we go out, they were littler, and so I'm not gonna rain on their parade. If they like the movie, they like the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but yeah, they noticed. Even my wife was like, "What?" She was asking questions. My wife I've talked to you, but she's not anywhere near close to geekdom. She'll watch a movie and go, that was good.
Right.
No, did you get the intricate part of why he was
Right.
doing what? Nope.
Exactly.
And it's like, oh, okay. So yeah,
It's to me it's interesting to talk to friends of mine that are not knee deep in the geek fandom as we are here on Twitter. And Joker Voice said it earlier. You know, Twitter isn't real for the most part.
No.
I interact with people on Twitter, and then when I go out in the real world and talk to people about certain things, you know, talk to them about sci-fi and Star Wars and movies and things like that, they're like, yeah, whatever, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a different animal, and it's so weird to me. We are like entrenched in this. But before I forget, and before we run out of time, I just want to make sure that I mention. Because we do want to mention everyone in the chat, and I think everybody in the chat is coming to Chicago on July 23rd. Most of you guys are, anyways. The fourth annual, I cannot believe, the fourth annual Scarif Con, July 23rd. Please save the date. We are having it at Murray Brothers Caddy Shack in Rosemont, Illinois. Wonderful restaurant, wonderful venue, a stone's throw from O'Hare Airport on the north side. I know a lot of folks, a lot of our friends have already made arrangements to lodge here in the Windy City, and I am so grateful for the support. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. And whoa, look at that! Check that out, Nicole. You were right. Nicole, you were right. Check that out. Oh man,
Did she see it?
Yeah, she
saw it beforehand. There you go.
Check it out. Check it out.
It's got the art. Very nice.
Very nice. Check
22
it out.
Gotham. Gotta dig it, man.
Excellent. So yeah, ScarifCon 2022, our fourth annual, and wow, that's gonna
And
be
the
a lot of fun.
the proceeds of these shirts.
Right. Proceeds of those shirts in particular, and the sale is going on now. For another 13 hours, I think. Pick up your ScarifCon or your Red 5 Network merch on any of them. The proceeds to the ScarifCon T-shirt are going to the Chicago Food Depository. Last year, we did the same thing. You know, I cover a lot of folks struggling with the simplest things, like putting food on the table for their families. And I was able to thank you to a lot of people that bought the shirts last year. I was able to donate the proceeds to the Chicago Food Depository. And, you know, as I cover stories, I can see the good work that they do. And not just that Food Depository. There's a lot of local organizations that work hard to help families, especially during the COVID time. So kudos to you guys for picking up a ScarifCon T-shirt, doing a good thing, and looking quite fly in the process.
Yes, indeed.
Let's see here. We
One thing I did want to touch on is I think that the reason it was very different for us growing up is proximity. I think without the toys, without the internet and those kinds of things, I think that going to school, we may have felt alone. We may have felt no one in my neighborhood understands, and everybody I talk to, no one watches this show. And then all of a sudden, you know, we went off to college, or with me, I went off to the military, and then it was like, wait a minute, you like that too? And then you start talking to, you know, you have a friend now, that kind of thing. And I think that back in the day, we just couldn't find each other as easily. There were forums and those kinds of things, and you know, but I think now, especially like this, we can have one of these so easily that it keeps the culture. It keeps the culture alive, and it's just different in that regard. We don't have to focus on the stuff we don't like, but we can enjoy the stuff that we did like or we do like of the new stuff. So,
it's funny. There was one time that I was working, and I worked with a new reporter, and it was time to write his script, and we're just sitting there, you know, kind of silent because we're new to each other. And he opens up his laptop bag, and he pulls out his laptop, and the first thing I see is this giant Imperial logo sticker on his laptop, and I'm like, he's one of us. Very nice. So we started talking, realized that we were both Star Wars nerds, and the rest is history. Is one of my great friends that I work with. So it's very funny. Like you said, proximity, and if we don't open our mouths, we can't find out more about each other, and I think you know, we should probably use these a lot more than this sometimes.
definitely.
You know, there's a message that I want to get out because I see an incoming transmission, but I did want to mention one more thing about those T-shirts. Brad came up with a really great giveaway. I got to read this first. We're teaming up with TeePublic. We're going to be giving away a couple of T-shirts and products from our TeePublic source. But I want the chat to really pay attention to this because this is kind of important, and it's something that is important to us here at the Scarif podcast, and I think throughout Red 5. Part of the giveaway, and I'm going to find out details, but I want you guys to start thinking about this. There are big picture things in this world that we cannot change no matter how hard we try, but we can use our passion to affect immediate change in our own communities locally. At the Scarif podcast, our passion is all things nerdy and geeky, and we try to use that passion to inspire positive interactions. And we want to know how you use your passion to change the world you live in for the better. We want you to tell us how. Send an email, a direct message, record a clip, a voicemail, or make a short video and tell us how you are embracing your passions to make gentle the life of this world, which is a Bobby Kennedy quote. Thank you very much, Brad, for that. If you do that, you will be automatically entered into our free T-shirt giveaway. We can affect real positive change, and that is the Scuttlebutt. Brad came up with that contest, that giveaway. So think about how you use your passion to affect change locally. Like I said, we none of us are superheroes, but we are superheroes in our own neighborhood, and I think that's a really great thing to be able to do. So send us a clip, voicemail. The voicemail number, the Scarif Scuttlebutt hotline is 773-234 234-8659. That's right. Or email us at scarifscuttlebutt@gmail.com and send us a clip there. We will enter you for this giveaway. More details to come because I want to make sure that I don't want to just give one T-shirt away. I want to give out a couple of them, and we've teamed up with TeePublic to be able to do that. So we've got some new designs, as Bravo is wonderfully modeling there. The ScarifCon 22 shirt. I think we've got 4 new designs for ScarifCon. Pick up one of them. That actually looks pretty nice on that color T-shirt. Really,
it is. Yeah, it's the vintage black.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yes, indeed.
Beautiful. We're not done Saturday night. We've got a rogue transmission that I see coming in to the Citadel tower here. Let's see what we got here. I think there's a code breaker working in the back room here. Let's see.
Incoming transmission.
Is this thing on? Oh, over. The Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast is. Hurry to Dork Wars YouTube channel, you must. Starts in 15 minutes, Dork Wars Live does. A great disturbance, I feel, in this show. Quickly, go we must. Watch it!
Thank you, Yoda, for that wonderful message. But that's right. I think Danny and I will be on the Dork Wars live podcast. We're going to be talking about the original trilogy, the Star Wars, My First Love. I always say it on the podcast. If you cut me, I will bleed Star Wars. That is my passion. But Bravo, any final thoughts on geek culture? Is it dead?
No, not at all. I just think the products are inferior. I think I think we can demand better, and I think we're in the process of doing that, and I think it's having an effect. I think at the very least, if they're not listening to specifics, they are at least listening. So that's my 2 cents.
Cool. Excellent. Bravo. I know I asked you before we started when you start up. I wanted to find out about your podcast, The Convergence, and it's a T-shirt I wear quite often because it's very comfortable. Thank you.
I saw, yes, those soft ones, yes, the tri-blend or whatever, I dig those. That's all I buy. So, yeah, if you put black on those tri-blend ones, I will definitely get those. But, yes, the Convergence, you're hearing it here first. The Convergence is getting back. I've already started to schedule interviews for April, and I have two interviews coming up for the 3rd and the 4th, and I don't know if they're going to be live and then put to podcasts. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with those, but yes, I've scheduled those already, and I'm waiting on several other tentacles are out there, but a lot of people are busy, and I'm inviting groups on and those kinds of things, so it's hard to kind of get those together. But yeah, no, we're here at the me and my daughter, who helps out a little bit. We're getting ready for. She does the intro of the podcast.
I was going to ask
so
you
yeah,
too. I'm like watching. I'm like, hey, who's this? That's nice.
Yeah, she does. That's her Hermione. It's not. She's got to get more feeling into it. She was kind of half-assing it, but I'm just kidding. But no, that's what I'm shooting for is April 3rd, and I've got some lines in the water to see what else comes out, and that's ultimately what I'm going to do is just start doing the interviews. I don't know if I'm going to have a day or a night because I'm at the behest of my guests. They're all extremely busy moms, dads, brothers, sisters, and podcasters and stuff. So
Excellent. So reach out if you need any help. Would love to help you. Wonderful member of our Red 5 Network. You can find the rest of us at red5network.com. Check out the Twitter bio link on the Red 5 Network Twitter account. You will find all 37 of us podcast and content creators. Our newest member, Danny, she's going to join me in the next couple of minutes on the Dork Wars Live podcast. We're going to be talking about Star Wars. What else? Excellent. On behalf of Brad, Shanti, and myself, this is Ro. That's 97 Bravo. You guys have a great evening, and that is the Scuttlebutt. Love you guys.